What's up, everybody? We got another weekend of fights. UFC on ESPN, Vera versus Cruz. That means we got some more fight predictions for you. I'm Patrick Gabunton. I'm here with my good friend, my brother, my coach, Alexander Rajicic. Together, we're one-on-one MMA clinic, the only MMA show hosted by not one, but two jiu-jitsu black belts. Don't you dare fact check that. We've got some important fight talk coming your way. So if you're not ready, it's time to get ready. Let's go. What up?
What's up, brother?
What you got today?
Crispy boy. And I even put one-on-one MMA Clinic episode 3.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I
Third
cannot turn it
episode.
around. I don't want to spill beer. Just in my mouth.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Let's start with the last week. We had.
Yeah, how'd we do? How'd we do?
I think we did pretty good. I think we only missed on Luque, but also we said like that Jeff Neal can put anyone to sleep, and he had really good first round, put Luque in really deep problems, like almost finish that fight in the first round. Luque managed to come back, and had a really good second round, which I think he won, but he made the same mistakes in the third round, and Jeff put him out, so we were pretty close there, like just like it's hard to win the fight like when you have that bad start, like in the mistakes that he made. And talking about that, let me see, can you put them? Yeah, let's go here, like maybe to start, like also, yeah, this is the only two that we missed from the last week prediction. I mean, we both said that Zach have a bigger chance and that he will probably win, but also like we said that Usman can put him to sleep, like, and especially it was big stakes, like winning the Ultimate Fight contract. And talking about that, like I managed to get pretty good, like on plus 245. I just put like $25, like almost 90 back, and that wasn't bad. Like I think I did it right end of the round one, and he KO'd him. I think it was what was 36 seconds in the second round. So
Yeah, I think it was like the first punch that was in the second round.
more like, yeah, I
Yeah,
think so too. I think so. It
well,
was amazing KO. Like he put
that's
him
crazy.
flat.
And I thought if he was gonna KO me, it would be like an overhand right. So that was a beautiful check left hook. But what did you see in the first round that made you want to go against our original picks and pick Usman?
I just didn't saw enough from Zach what I expected to see, So it was like floating in the air. Even I didn't see too much for Usman, but I don't know. Like with those stuff, I just like felt like okay, and it was like how much was like plus 245, and I was just let me try, like, and also like to be honest, like whole night before that, watching even prelims, going like I didn't see anything before that I can put money on. And I'm like I'm watching already whole night fights, like, and I didn't see any good, and
Yeah,
that was like little bit like like suggesting that it can come to something, and I went. That's why I went only like 25, and it
Mhm.
pretty pays off, But like I said again, I went with our original pick. I don't know how much was the Luke last week. I think he was a favorite.
Yep, he was.
I don't know how big, but I think it was pretty big favorite. I cannot see it now.
And that
And
was that was the one fight that I didn't really want to make a pick for because it was so close. And if you see the first and second round, I think it was like pretty even going into the third round.
yeah, and exactly like I think when I put my bet, like I thought like Luke was out after first round, but like he
Mhm.
managed like to come back like in the second round, and it looks like with the kicks and everything that he's taking over and he's doing what he was supposed to do to win that fight, And then when I decided, like, and he was pretty much he won that round, and I was thinking that he will take over in the third, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So I lost that one. So I want to show just like how I think. I don't like was the chance to always win, like so just
Mhm.
don't guys like think we're showing only when we win. Like I also want to show, but that was like for me, it was changing direction. But that's the momentum, and why we put that on. It's like when the favorite but in this case, I think he was like a slight favorite if I remember good, and
Mhm.
it went like to almost plus 200 plus 190, so that was like pretty good momentum to put the money. I mean, and I'm not
Right.
sure that I did, you know
I mean, can't win them all, but you did come out on top with that Usman win.
yeah, so I'm still like, let's say how much, like couple bucks up, so that's okay.
Pretty awesome night of fights. I want to say they're all finishes,
Yeah, I
and
think they were all finishes.
yeah. So sometimes it's the cards that like you don't really expect much from. Kind of like this card this weekend. We've got some unknown fighters maybe, but I'm expecting some fireworks from all these fights.
No, for sure, a couple fights, like I don't think they're gonna see second round, like, but let's go one by one, like hopefully with a crispy. Boy, we're gonna be more crispy even this weekend, but I think we didn't do bad, even the last one, like I said.
No, I mean more right than not. That's for sure. All right, who we got first?
Yeah,
Let's take a look at this card.
let's start. Okay, where is the start? Which one is the first one on the list?
There's been a few changes to this card, so
Yeah, it was hard to follow up. Like so many, like also like the fight that we were breaking down for the previous week. I think it came back on this
yep,
card.
yep. Lipsky versus Cachoeira, yeah,
Yeah,
rescheduled. So
and it really was weird. Like, is it in? Is it not? Is it on May card? No, it really was like hard. Like on different sources, we were getting like different input. But like, I think finally this is like the main card, and we have pretty good fights. Like I think like from this, how many? Six fights. I
yep.
think three or four fights, maybe like even say for I don't see that's gonna go to the second round. It's just like so crazy matchup. But let's take it slowly and go one by one. Let's go first. Bruno Silva against Gerald Mercher.
GM3 is his nickname. It's a lot easier to say.
Yeah, I agree. It's really hard to pronounce, but his last name. But I think I did it good. Okay, let's start here. You want to go first?
Sure. We got some middleweights, two middleweights that have a lot of finishes. If you look at their records, it kind of looks like the classic grappler versus striker matchup, and I think we're gonna see some of that. Bruno Silva, man, he's been finishing everyone except in his last fight, Alex Pereira, who like we know he's fighting for a title, a kickboxing champion. I think if he's not fighting kickboxing champions, he has a great chance to knock someone out. And I think he's going to knock out GM3, Gerald Mearshart. The reason being is Bruno Silva, he's actually a champion over in Russia before coming here to the UFC. So
Yeah.
he doesn't have the UFC experience that GM3 does, but he's got championship level experience over in Russia. And we know those Russian fighters, they're solid. Yeah, we're seeing more of them. He's a Brazilian cat. So he has a lot of fights in Brazil and in Russia against grapplers, and I think that's really important going against GM3 because I mean he knocks out grapplers, and that's going to be very helpful this weekend. So I'm going with Silva knockout, but you tell me, am I crazy?
I mean, you're not, and especially like if we go about Gerald, what stays like I think like the shine of Kamzat, like, and everybody like, he put him to sleep with the first, more or less it was a first punch, like, and he is welterweight, like talking with the people, like I think that stays in their mind,
Hmm.
but like talking about like even like he's on if I'm right, before he lost from his last fight from Yotko, he was on three winning strike, like, and all was by submission, and
Yeah.
before that he lost from Kamzat.
Hmm.
So if you go to his fights, and even against Muradov, who is like super great striker, and man, he took a beating. Like, he can take a punch, like, I don't know, it
Yeah.
really like comes that have like that crazy punch, especially like when he's not cutting down to welterweight, that he put him out so easily out. But he can take a punch,
Mhm.
like, even like he was rocked a couple times, was on the ground standing up, and he managed to push and finish that fight by a rear naked choke,
Yeah.
so he's a dog. He's gonna try to make it a dog fight, like, and if you go to Bruno, he's not like super crisp fighter as Pereira is or some other guys.
Right.
He's more like a really good stand up, but like he more like looks for that brawl and like where his power is gonna
Hmm.
come out. Like you said previously, he's like a M1 champion. Like that's how he came to UFC. So he has that championship experience, and he has like a big win over Shlemenenko. Who is like a
Hmm.
legend. I don't know how many fights. Like, I think close to 80 fights, 60
He,
something wins. Like that. That's a big win for him. Um, but like looking the odds, like he's super big favorite. He's minus 285. So putting money on him, it's a risk,
mhm.
honestly. And if you look, like, I think all his losses are by submission. I think he has like seven losses and five are by submission.
Mhm.
So he's really prone to lose the fight like that. And if you go to Gerald, like, I don't know how many, like 24 wins by submission.
He has, I want to say, a 94% finish rate in his victories, which is the second highest on the card. So I mean, yeah, it's a good point. If GM3 is gonna win, it's gonna be by submission, rear
Yeah,
naked choke or guillotine.
yeah,
And
sure.
he might have the most or the highest number of like technical submissions, meaning like he's just choking these guys unconscious before the referee can even stop it, so he's got a six squeeze on him. If he gets on Silva's back, if he finds a way on his back, like, I think it is game over. But I don't know, maybe I'm just like still on that Kamzat train or whatever. I see the knockout that he suffered against Kamzat, and I kind of see that happening against Silva, who, he's a champion, and I think that means a lot coming into the UFC.
Yeah, I agree, but like that's what I want to say. I think even the odd makers, like, like, because we are all got by that, like what really input in our memory,
Hmm.
and that's like really like when you mention Gerald, that's like something that I think everybody thinks like he's like highlight of
Yeah,
on the bad side.
yeah.
So. Uh, I think people are underestimating him, and especially on plus 240, and
Hmm.
he can really go. Like, if you go back, like the grueling fight that he had with Kevin Holland, I don't know. I think that first round is maybe the craziest submission exchange in the history of UFC. The whole match, like, I don't know how many was like, maybe for the some other times when the Holland or GM are gonna fight, I'm gonna put like exact numbers of submission that were going back and forth. I think
Yeah.
that was the craziest submission, and that was like a deep submissions, like
Hmm.
exchange in the history of UFC. Like
Yeah.
just like I think, guys, like if you didn't watch that fight, you should go back, especially like who is following us, friends in the family, and most our friends are doing jiu-jitsu. So I would
Yeah.
recommend to go and watch that fight. I think one of the best like showcase of craziness of grappling exchange in the history of UFC.
I mean, yeah, Kevin Holland, he's fought a lot of top 10 guys. So he's got what, 16 fights in the UFC, a lot of top 10 guys. So, I mean, he does have the experience, not championship level experience, but, if he does have an advantage, it's that high caliber fight experience against Silva.
Yeah, so let's see. I mean, like again, you know how I don't like to put money on like heavy favorite. So I'm gonna look maybe for my chance, like when the fight starts,
Mhm.
or maybe like even in some parlay or some how to say round
Yeah.
robins. Like I'm gonna go with Gerald.
Okay. Yeah, and in terms of like making your bets, you kind of prefer like live betting during the fight, seeing how it's playing out, and then
Yeah,
make.
if I'm gonna go with the favorites, and I
Right.
know they have a fun, I'm gonna wait for that momentum that the odds go a little bit down. Like same like we showed previously with Vincent Luque, like
Mhm.
I'm gonna wait for them. Like I mean that was a bad case. That was a crazy bet because he was like on wobbly legs. Like I don't know
Yeah.
how he didn't get to end up, but like he managed to get like after that those 2 minutes, I was like okay, it's settled. Like he's finding his rhythm, there is a chance, and
Yeah.
then you can have a chance to make some money. Otherwise, like if you lose on minus 285, like I don't see the point. Like
Right.
you know, I'm not here like to put like how to say $100 to make like 25. I'm trying to get like to multiply my money and look that bets that can make me that. And talking back, sorry, I think also like in his fight against Muradov that I was talking previously, Gerald was like plus 425 underdog.
Mm.
Muradov was like even bigger favorite than now Bruno Silva is. I think he was like close to 600. What's crazy, and Gerald managed to submit him in the second round. So that's something that we need to think about it. That he's like a really good dog and underdog.
Right. He puts the dog in underdog.
Yeah, that's it. He's the dog in the underdog.
All right, but money outside of money, who are you picking for this fight?
Yeah, I think Bruno has a more chance to win. And I think he was like on the tear before before he beat Pereira. But even like there, he did perfect match. He was like even threatening a little bit. I think he did a good. He was the biggest test of Pereira so far in UFC for sure.
For sure, and he's one of the only guys in the UFC to not get knocked out by him, and that's including Izzy,
Yep.
champion. So tough motherfucker. I'm going with Silva, but again, he's the favorite. So if you're putting money, maybe skip this one. Maybe skip this one. All
Was
right,
gonna
who we got next, Alex?
I think it's Nina Nunez and Cynthia Carvillo. But let me check. Yeah, let's go that one, even if it's not on the schedule.
So this is actually, I don't know if you remember, like maybe last month, you and I were talking about this fight because this is a rescheduled fight. They were supposed to fight on the same card as Holloway versus Volkanovski.
Yeah, if I got it good. Or no, I was thinking Dos Anjos and Fiziev, I think. Maybe they rescheduled twice.
No, so maybe it was the Dos Anjos,
Yeah, I
but
think that was that was the card that they were scheduled to fight, and I think they postponed it. I think Nina illness. That's what I found. That
yep.
was the reason. So now they're gonna square off. And what do you think here? I think this was what's hard for me to analyze. Like their both styles are not that attractive. Like if
Hmm.
you go to the previous fight, they had like together six performance of the night. If you go to Nina Nunez and Cynthia Carvalho. Like I don't know how many together. I think they have like 10, 15, close to 20 fights in UFC. No performance of the night, no fight of the night. So they're not super, how to say, exciting fighters, but like still, this fight is going to be interesting. So,
For me, Cynthia Calvillo, she's someone that when she first got into the UFC, I was paying attention to because she's so scrappy and she had like crazy submissions, crazy ways to just end up on the back. And I don't know. I since then she's had like weight issues. Sometimes she misses weight. Sometimes she balloons up and just moves up a weight class and maybe looks a little bit slower. But I don't know. For me, judging by like when she's at her best, she's a dog, and I think she has like the abilities for sure to beat Nina Nunez, but she is on a three-fight losing streak, albeit to like some pretty tough women in the division. So if she shows up, if she comes correct, and again, she's not the one that pulled out with medical issues, so I think she's in maybe better shape than Nina Nunez. I'm picking Calvillo to win. However, I talked a little bit about momentum, and Nina Nunez, her wife Amanda, just had an excellent fight. A championship fight, and she won. So I don't know. Maybe she could get some rub from her girl Amanda. But I'm pulling for Calvillo. Just a decision. She's gonna scrap on the feet, and I'm hoping we see some of her like prime jujitsu come out because when she's on, she's on that neck, she's on that back, and it's just fun to watch.
yeah, I agree with you. Like old, how to say, old from the past, like
Yeah.
Cynthia, like you said. But like now, what's happening with her? Like you said, three losing strike. She came again, like up to flyweight.
Hmm.
Because like as you said, she was missing the weight and everything, and she had as her return, like she had a win over Jessica I in 5 round. Was it 5 round? I think yeah, it was main event. Like so she got like a pretty high spot. Like but after that, like I think I guess who she went like tall girl like Caitlin choked.
Chukagan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was her first loss of those three in a row, and then
Yeah.
she got destroyed by Jessica Andrade.
Yeah.
And after that, the last fight, like she didn't even stand up from the stool. She didn't
Yeah.
show up in the third round. And I mean, she got beat up, but not that bad. So it's the question, like you said, how she faded over time. Like
Hmm.
are we gonna see that like a vintage Cynthia Calvillo? I don't think so. But also like she's 35. Nina Nunez is 36. But like she had like I think uh, big breaks like because of the
Yeah.
baby, like putting Amanda career in the first spot, and like
Almost a year and a half since her last fight. Yeah.
yeah, I think like and when she came back, she had a fight against Tatiana Suarez, who is
Yeah.
undefeated. I think 8-0, and that girl looks like I don't know. Like unfortunately, I think she didn't have a fight since fight with Nina Nunes.
Yeah.
But I
She's had some bad neck injuries, but yeah, I really liked watching her fight. She was like a female Khabib, just mauling.
yeah, that's the type of the girls that I like to watch. That bring some excitement. Like not just like going for the finish.
Yeah.
And after that, like okay, I'm not gonna take anything bad to it. She had a loss against Mackenzie Dern by
Yeah.
submission in the first round, but think uh, I think the Calvillo is not in that she's fading. Especially like I mean, it's so hard to mentally return. You didn't get up from the stool. Like it
Yeah.
was your decision to to not go back to the cage, and now you're coming back. it's a question how it's gonna be. And what you said previously about like she's coming against after Amanda taking her title back, that amazing camp, amazing fight. I mean, I don't know, camp was amazing, but like she was in that camp, like she probably like train all the time, like
Yeah.
prepare good, and now especially like she was through all the process of Amanda getting back. So I think, like you said, probably something rub off, and we can see really good. Uh, Maybe her best match so far. So that's something that I'm aiming for, especially like I think she's slight underdog. I think plus 145.
Nina is
Yeah,
Nunes.
Nina. Yeah. So like how I like underdogs, and especially like I think Cynthia Calvillo is small for that weight. That's why like you
Hmm.
can see against the Andrade how she got blows. And I don't
She
think
should
she.
be a 115 pounder for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and she cannot like. I don't think maybe against the cage she can take down Nina Nunez, but in a open space, not for sure. So that's the question: how much like fight left in her? She would really have to grind
Hmm.
to get a takedown, and then she has some chance. Like in stand up, I think no, she's just smaller.
That's one thing that's kind of like frustrating for me as a Calvillo fan is like she will fight these strikers and she tries to strike with them. Warden, she should be trying to grapple with them. One thing though is like if Nina Nunes is winning a fight, it's usually when she's pressing you up against the cage. So she's also going to be looking for grappling, and I think that might be good for Calvillo. She lost three in a row against really good strikers, and now she gets a woman that will try to maybe tie up with her and grapple with her. But again, like watching Nunes fight, Amanda Nunes, that is, having like the best strategy she's ever had, best game plan. If that rubbed off on Nunes, then maybe Nina she won't try to grapple with Calvillo this time because, like you said, like she doesn't have the best striking. So it really depends on how Nina Nunes wants to strategize because unfortunately it looks like lately Cynthia just wants to strike, which is not a good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, that's the biggest like how to say. I think the biggest problem like that she's not mixing it up with her wrestling.
Mhm.
Like she would be even more dangerous in her striking department if she gives them like to worry about the takedown. Like, but I think she just like um, what her fight. I think in the third round against Caitlyn, she was like pressing a little bit more that she wanted to take down, but when she already knew that she's losing.
It's too late. Yep.
Yeah, it's too late. Like I think her strategy should be from beginning. Like, okay, you want to strike now more, but like at least give them something to think about it. And if you manage to take them down, go to your best abilities to try to grapple and try to finish that fight.
Hmm.
So I think I have some feeling that Nina Nunez will get this one. I'm just like too much worried about like where she's at because for me if you didn't get up from the stool, that's a big warning sign. And I think especially like that she's her favorite. I wouldn't pick her. I'm gonna pick Nina Nunez.
All right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like, you never know where these fighters are at mentally, and if you're not getting up from the stool, that's not a good look.
Yep. Let's go for the next one. What do we have next?
All right, next up. So this is where some of the confusion comes, I think, from the main card because next up, I think we're having another rescheduled fight. Ariane Lipsky versus Priscilla Cachoeira, who we talked about last week. I'm pretty sure they got bumped up to the main card this weekend. But if we talked about it a little bit, I'm still picking Priscilla. Are you still on Lipsky?
Yeah, I think I am. Even though I think I didn't check because like I I was thinking and I think it's in undercard. I don't know why that fight. I think she wasn't medically cleared or something like that.
Hmm.
So that's the question, but I'm gonna still stay with her. So
Yeah.
let's just.
I'm I'm going with Priscilla still. I talked a little bit last week. I don't like this girl. I think she's dirty. But I think she's got the power to pull it off and kind of like keep Lipski at bay. So now that we got that out of the way, who do
That's
we got?
addition. That's addition. We are doing now like we are moving from the main card and doing like extra fights for you guys.
We'll see. Maybe we get a surprise sixth fight. But next up, it looks like we got Devin Clark versus Azmat Mirzekhanov.
Let's see.
Let's
You
see.
want me to try to Azmat Murskanov?
Yeah, let's see if we can find this here.
Murzakanov.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was thinking we Alex, we should have a challenge, a little competition who can pronounce these names better and just like compare it to however Bruce Buffer, we'll say however Bruce Buffer says it, that's the right way. And whoever can say it the closest to him. So I don't know how he says it, but I'm going Azamat Murzakanov.
Yeah, Azamat Murzakanov.
All right.
I think I can get a job. Maybe like Bruce Buffer is going to retirement soon. No, joking about that. Like how you're making like an intro for our for our shows. I'm afraid I'm gonna lose you. Like now, like soon enough, Bruce Buffer is going to retirement. Maybe
I
that's something
mean,
new that you can
we'll
look into.
see. I like dressing up. I like wearing suits. So if I can get that gig just for the suits alone, I'm taking it. Sorry, Alex.
I want tickets at least. Don't
Yeah,
forget
no,
that.
I got you. I got you. All right, we got Devin Clark versus Azamat Murkazanov. All right, so who you got in this one, Alex?
Yeah, this is really interesting one. Let's break it a little bit more. But let's first break Asmat's picture. You know, he looks like from, you know, obituaries when you like. Why did you put him in the
What
color?
happened with this? Where do you get this pick, Alex?
That's from UFC Pass website. You know, so they at least I don't know why they don't like him. No, I'm kidding. That's probably like from Dana White Contender Series, and they don't have
Right, right, right.
still in the color one. That's why they put him like this. He looks scary. Black and white makes him even scarier than he is. And
Right.
he's only 33, but he looks like at least 43.
I mean, it's like how do you kill this guy? He already looks dead. Like that is scary.
I
You
don't
know.
know. That's on Devin to try to figure it out.
All right,
Talking about
what's up?
talking about that, like this is really interesting one. Like this is right one of the fights that really pump me up for this weekend. You know, like we have undefeated guy
Yes.
who is like in the Russian hand fighting or how they call it, rukopashny boy. Rukopashny boy. That's like some
Never heard
system.
of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna research. I heard for it many times. Like he's master of rukopashny boy. That's how they call it. That's like from Russian militaries, like they're like same like you have for Israeli Krav Maga. That's much more popular.
Okay.
They have that.
So
And
this guy's actually killed somebody, probably.
I don't know. He looks like he did. I don't know. Like if you see
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
um, I watched his fight even before the UFC, and I'm really impressed by him. Like he has like a crazy power. He goes from the southpaw. He's jumping like he can remind. He reminds a little bit by the build and by the movement, like Fedor. You know, like he's
Oh, okay.
hopping all the time. Like he's like lighter weights. You know,
Yeah.
and he's really good in like moving in and out, pushing forward. Like what I really like he's keeping the distance and then he's moving one step in and then like how to say he's cutting the angle exactly with the leg like he's trying to be on the outside so he can put the full power. And talking about the power, like he finished all his fight in the first, no, he had two decisions I think, and every other fight he finished in the except of his last one, and we're gonna talk about that now a little bit more. He finished in the first round. Only
Mhm.
his last fight against Nuchkvi. How would you read his last name? Sorry, I didn't prepare. or his last name. So that's a mystery for me. Like
We'll
he,
never know because Bruce Buffer is not calling his name, so who knows?
yeah, like I need to hear. But like he lost that. He was losing that fight, and then he finished it like I with amazing like a flying knee or knee, whatever it was that. Um, so he showed like something that he can even like explode and put that power in later rounds, especially like he was losing that fight in my opinion. So it was like for him that he has to finish, and he showed that he can do that.
Mhm.
That's about him, you know. Like I think he's like really interesting guy that it's gonna be something that we should follow in that category, you know, especially like the movement, like I said, cutting the angles and power in his hands. It's like really like top notch. But now talking about Devin Clark, you know, like that's really interesting. Like I went a little bit back over his fights, and more or less that I was rewatching all like those like 4 or 5 fights. I don't know how he managed like with that like similar style. He just not hopping. He's like marching forward. He have like that big legs, like tree trunks that make him really like to launch in his punches, and he almost put everybody to ass. But like he's not finishing the fights, you know, and that's something that's really for me that made me to pay attention. Like I'm like, what's going on here? Like he's like putting guys down, but he's not like, you know, like not called KO. And then the
Right.
guys managed to return. Something is really interesting. And now when he moved to heavyweight, like he did like right away, he KO'd the guy, you
Hmm.
know. So I'm thinking maybe like, and I was watching back, like he fought against the guy that I trained back in Serbia with Darko. Um, and even I think he put Darko on his ass in the first minute of that fight. And what came to my mind is like Darko had a problem. Like even now, Darko is fighting in KSW in heavyweight, and he's small heavyweight. But
Hmm.
though those cut, even I don't think it was that big cut for him mentally. He couldn't deal with. Like he was feeling like he's losing his power. So I was thinking maybe the same thing is happening with this guy. That weight cuts, like I don't know, maybe even really take away. Maybe it's just mental. But like, come on, you move for a heavyweight for one fight for excursion, and you KO solid guy, you know. And in the light heavyweight, he's just like not managing to finish guys, and that was really like interesting for me. I think he didn't have like a win uh, by the finish for like since 2016. Sorry, I had to go through the stats. And
That's fine. And he does have the second lowest finish rate on this card. But that's interesting. I didn't catch that he actually his last knockout, his last fight was the first knockout in a while, but it's after he moved up in weight. So it's not unheard of that we've seen fighters, say fuck the weight cut, I'm going to just move up in weight and they actually have success. So Devin Clark's one of those guys like we're talking about Ankalaev. Like he doesn't have that X factor, right? Like if you look at his record, if you look at a highlight, I mean, is there the highlight? He doesn't have a lot of finishes, but I mean, it could be interesting going
like
into
you know, sorry to interrupt you. You know what's his X factor? His
what's that?
father in the corner. I don't know. Did you have the opportunity to hear? Like it's hilarious. Like
What's
he,
his dad on?
I
What's
don't
his
know. Like, but his dad screaming so crazy. Like he's like I don't know which fight. Imagine like you have your dad in the corner. You're getting your ass beaten up, and he's like, "Get up, get up." He have really like a
uh,
interesting voice, and like he's so loud. Like that's Devin X Factor. Like if you have to.
bro? They'll never fight, but have you heard? That just reminds me of Eddie Alvarez's wife. Have you heard her during the fights?
No,
Like they don't even have a microphone on her, and you can fucking hear her saying, "Eddie, Eddie," and it's like, Oh, that's crazy. So I would just like to see his dad versus Eddie Alvarez's wife just cornering against each other.
Let's go.
But
Let's try
yeah,
to force it to UFC. Make that make that match. That
find
would
a
be.
way.
Yeah, sorry,
But
brother. Continue.
yeah, I mean he's lacking that X factor, but then again, like this, he's going into the heavyweight division. Maybe that could kind of rejuvenate him and get him some finishes. But we're looking at a fighter that's undefeated. You know, he's Russian, which I think right now Russians are freaking, they're killing it in MMA. And one interesting thing is like if you look at the bouts that he's had in the UFC, Asmat, he's only had one, but he's actually had three fights before that scheduled. So I mean, why are these fights getting canceled? It's not because of Azamat. Like people are just pulling out on this guy, and it makes me wonder. Like, man, are people scared to fight this guy? He's undefeated. He has a pretty high finish rate. If Devin Clark shows up this weekend, I think he's going to be another one of those guys just adding to his, his TKOs, his KOs. But man, that is interesting having that last fight coming off a finish finally. So maybe he has a little bit more confidence. I just think Asmat, we're going to see a lot more of him, especially in this heavyweight division where it's kind of like anybody could take it.
Yeah. What I wanted to say, and also like what I was thinking, like what Asmat is doing, that like bouncing, going up and down, and I think like, and Devin likes to like charge,
Mm.
and I think like really easily we can see like a brutal KO by Devin charging and Asmat just being like, how to say, on top of it and just like clip him, like similar what I watched, I think one of his first fights back from Russia in the ring. And I was like, because I couldn't find too much material about him, and I got interesting and I was like digging deeper. uh, I think I can see that, like, because like Devin likes to charge in. Will he go for a takedown, or will he go like for those looping or charging like straight shots? And I think he can like, especially like Asmat is like a southpaw, so I think he can catch him on the entrance, and then it's gonna be super bad KO. So that's the option that I see. And also talking about Asmat, he fought against Andre Muniz, and that was I think the last, and he KO'd him in the first round pretty easily. Even though Andre now moved to middleweight, but still after that fight, Andre Muniz is undefeated. I think 5-0 in UFC and 3-0 in different organizations. So basically, after Asmat is 8-0, so that's saying also about the level that Asmat is, even though let's say the guy moved to middleweight and Asmat stayed in light heavyweight. So
Yeah, so I just had to double check. Like, so I thought this was at light heavyweight, and it
yes,
looks like Devin Clark, he went to heavyweight for his last fight, but
he
this is
came back.
again light heavyweight. So fuck, man. Like if Devin Clark felt strong at heavyweight, like he might not have that strength advantage anymore at
Yeah,
light
that's
heavyweight.
what I was talking.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't hear it when you said when you thought it's a heavyweight. No, no,
mhm,
no, it's light heavyweight. He just like had like an excursion
yeah,
to heavyweight. He just like went up, and I don't know like why he didn't stay there.
right. But that's pretty cool that like Azamat, like you're saying, like he kind of reminds you of Fedor, and I agree. But like speaking of Fedor, Fedor probably could have fought at like light heavyweight or middleweight even if he just shed a little bit of weight. But yeah, to see those big guys kind of just move like that, and Fedor he was the goat. So big guys that can move, that's a dangerous combination because they already have the power. You add speed and angles and movement, like that's dangerous. So I think even more so now I'm picking Asmat versus Devin Clark, like Asmat to win by TKO.
Yeah, I agree. KO, TKO, and maybe even in the first round. And it's not bad. It's like minus 150. I can live with that.
Really?
Yeah,
Even being undefeated, that's actually surprising to me. I would think he'd
yeah,
be a bigger favorite.
yeah. No, I think the Devin Clark is plus 130, so just like slight underdog, you know.
Hmm.
But like also that's saying like how underrated. Like I think like he has some curse, you know, like or maybe like that with the that like he managed to put all guys out. I think he put even
Yeah,
Blachowicz to his ass, and
yeah,
and just like he doesn't have enough power to put you right away to sleep, and then like he doesn't know how to smartly finish the fight. Like he goes down. I didn't even do the break like a super detailed breakdown, like what exactly you know. Like I didn't go like, but I see something is off because like I said, I was watching like 4 or 5 fights. He put everybody on the ass. He put Rakic on the ass. Like at the beginning, like I think even twice, and then he
mhm.
end up finished. You know, like going back again to the Serbian that he fought. He fought two Serbians. Like how I can like him. You know.
I mean, like that's the thing is like he does well even against the top 10. I don't know if Rakic was top 10 when they were fighting at the time, but I mean Rakic is top 10 now. You know, maybe even top 5. So he's fought a lot of like high caliber guys. He just hasn't been able to get the W against them. So this will be an interesting test to see where Asmat is. Like, of course, he's undefeated. He doesn't have a lot of UFC experience, but if Devin Clark, if he loses to Azamat, that's saying a lot, I think, to where Azamat weighs in like in this division at 205.
Yeah, I agree. This is the biggest test for him. Okay, so we agree both on this one. We have Asmat, maybe even
Yep.
first round KO, TKO.
Yeah, and he's a favorite, but like you said, like the odds are not too bad. Like even though he's a favorite, you might want to put some money on this guy.
No, minus 150 is pretty solid. You
That's
know,
good. That's good. Yeah.
I'm good with that. Okay, let's go. They don't have a picture,
All
and
right.
they're both like fresh in UFC. Um, it's Jasmine against Jasmine. You know, like so. I don't know. Like, let's give them a chance to do a fight, and then we're gonna talk about them. As soon as they have a picture, we're gonna talk. I
Right.
really
Like,
like.
are you a little bit surprised at the placement on this card? Because both these females, this is their UFC debut. What? How are they this high on the card? I don't understand. Like, one of them is undefeated. One Yasmin, Yaragway is undefeated. So, I mean, I get that she's on the main card, but both UFC debuts, it's kind of unheard of to be this high on the card on a UFC card.
Yeah, she was supposed to fight Estela Nunez, and I think like pretty recently it got changed,
Mhm.
and I don't know for which reason. And Estela has already two fights, you know, so maybe they saw some good matchup, you know, because it got changed. I didn't look how they would match, you know, so I didn't even do any. I didn't watch Estela to be honest. Like so
Yeah.
far, before in UFC, she was probably like on the undercard. So, and she removed from this. But like I watched Jasmine, like the girl that's 8-0, because they're Yasmin and Jasmine, or how.
I think they're both Yasmin. The one like Jasmine or like Yasmin, her nickname is Yasmin. So I don't know if the matchmakers like see something special in them, or if they're just saying like, "Hey, let's for shits and giggles, they both have the first name. Let's put them on the card like this." I don't know, but no disrespect to these females. Like, usually it's the ones that like have something to prove, and I think they might have something to prove. Like UFC debut, not a lot of people know of them, and you and I like I'd like to consider us to like hardcore fans. We've been watching this for a while. So, I mean, to not hear of these two females and them be on the card, like I think they're gonna come out, and it's probably gonna be an exciting fight, honestly.
It will for sure. I'm gonna tell you a reason. I think why they put it. It's like a Jasmine Jaguarin Jai. How would you say that? Uh, I still
I don't
can't
know.
hear.
You got a Mexican wife. How do they pronounce the Y's and the J's? Like I get mixed up.
I don't know. I'm not gonna pull her in our show to pronounce it, but I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna be prepared next time when she's fighting. But I think she's the reason why they are so high up ranked on this card, because like I watched like before the fight, and that girl is like exciting. She is going like zoom forward, like typical Mexican fighter. Like she brings a lot of excitement, and I think with 8-0, and I think they think like they can get some more from the Latino audience, and like she has maybe like that X factor, and I think that's the reason why she was here. I don't know. I don't want to give any predictions here. I think it's gonna finish. Like what I managed to see a little bit from the other Jasmine too. I think it's gonna be like pretty crazy fight, and I don't see it going for a third round. That's the only prediction that I can give so far, and maybe like a slight advantage to Jasmine, the first Jasmine here down. Like
Yaragway. Well, they
yeah,
both have similar finish rates at 77%, but Jaragway, the undefeated fighter, a little bit more on the TKO side. So I think whatever happens, it's probably going to be a finish. And I'm going with the undefeated fighter with TKO, Yasmin Jaragway. We'll see.
I agree. I agree. But my prediction, it's not gonna go to the finish. That's like what
Yeah.
I think. It's more secure. Let's move.
Another thing to note is the undefeated fighter, Jaragway. She's a champion, and I think that means a lot coming into the UFC. We've got a few fighters here that are like either making their debut or they're undefeated or they're champions outside of the UFC, and it'd be interesting to see how they come out of it after the weekend.
I agree. I agree.
All right, next one we got another. I think an interesting challenge to see how Bruce Buffer pronounces this. I'm going with Nate Landwehr versus David Onama. How do you say that?
Nate Landwehr, Burn, and David Onama. This is again another fight that's really got me excited. Like if you look their styles in couple previous fights, like that's also like the questionable. Will it go to the second round?
Hmm.
Like talking about the champions outside UFC, Nate was also like what's very interesting for me because like um, you cannot see anything like he's like more or less, let's say, classic brawler.
Hmm.
You know, he finished one of his last fight by submission. So I think he's working. Yeah, actually, my guy Ludovic Klein, I made some money on him. Like when he was underdog, that's why I remember him. Really crisp stand up. So I really don't see anything. But like he was like a champion in the Russia. Especially for me, it's interesting from American guy to go over there fight an M1, and he defended his belt over there 2 times.
Yep.
And Russian fighters are really good wrestlers. I mean, most of them. And I'm really surprised that he managed like on that craziness to get them off. I didn't watch the fights, but like watching his style, I'm making like a picture in my head. I was like, and I was really surprised like that he managed with that style to go and be a champion over there. And watching his fights in UFC, like he's 2-2, and both fights that he lost by KO, TKO, by flying knee and by the knee.
Mm.
So there's maybe something like maybe they found his kryptonite because he can really like when he goes like on the hands, kicks and everything, like he really can take beating and he can give you the beating. He's really one of those guys that really like exciting And if you go like he went against the veteran Darren Elkins, he had really crazy fight. Like he rearranged Elkins' face,
Yeah.
and he
I
was
didn't
like,
I didn't see that fight, but was he able to finish Elkins?
no, it was unanimous decision, but like he really like with the elbow. I think in one exchange he really opened him up. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, I can't think of any fighter that's finished Elkins. That's why I asked. Because if he did, then fuck it. I'm picking this guy. I'm changing my pick.
No, he
But
was he did like it. It was just like
yeah,
you have to watch it. You know, like it was crazy fight. But what I took from that fight, like probably like that mentality. He was like, was that? Yeah, that was like his second. He lost in the first one from Herbert Burns, Gilbert
hmm
brother. He lost by like middle of the first round by knee.
I think that was his first fight in the UFC too.
Yeah, and if you can see his eyes, like he have like a really like a weird look, like and he goes like all tense, like jacked up, like zone in the moment, like
Yeah,
and between the rounds, what I was saying, like he was like Dana, Dana, where are you, Dana? Like with the Elkins, yeah, like
yeah,
not I'm not a fan of that, but it was like really funny. Like he was all
yeah.
covered by the blood from Elkins and like calling to Dana, like and he really puts the show. You know, he goes and even with the client, he made a show. Like he goes forward. But talking about that, Onama also like we saw him like in his fight against Benitez, he got even rocked. Um, there at the beginning it was like crazy exchange, so that's something that I'm expecting even for this one, and I don't see it going out to the second round, you know.
hmm
So I'm really like waiting for this fight, and I think it's going to be an exciting one. Talking about David Onama, like he's really like he was 9-0 I think as an amateur. He is now 10-1. Only fight that he lost on short notice, like probably to get a contract to get in UFC, and he did it in the category up, you know. Um, so we can
So,
expect a
so you
lot of.
can't really hold that against him.
No,
Short notice, moving up. In a way, he's still undefeated in his weight class. And like other than that fight that he moved up on short notice, like he's finished literally all of his fights. He's got the highest finish rate right now at 100%. And one thing that I like is like his team right now. Like I don't know if you follow like James Krause at all.
yeah, yeah.
He's over at Glory MMA with James Krause, and I think like this is one of the coaches. Maybe he's going to get more notoriety now that he retired from MMA, but like very good camp that he's coming from, and now they have a champion in Moreno. Obviously, Moreno started in Mexico, so he can't take all the credit. But I think he comes from a good camp. Camp. He's surrounded by good people. He's undefeated, and if if you're gonna put money on Onama, like put money that he's gonna finish the fight. I think that's easy money right there that he's gonna finish the fight.
Talking about that, like really good point. Like also what you said about Moreno. You remember, like we were talking, like when he fought, like few weeks ago, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. I cannot even follow like,
Two
too many events. Uh,
2 weeks ago.
maybe two or three. Never
Yeah,
mind.
because he was on the Nunes card. Last week was Santos versus Hill. Before that was Nunes, I want to say.
Exactly. So 2 weeks. So talking about that, like you said, you remember like when we were saying that the chance of Kai is like to chop that leg. You saw how he with Kraus he fixed that. He didn't
hmm
stay that wide stance. He had like he was much like how to say his legs were like in more normal stance, not like usually how he was
Yeah.
fighting before. So talking about and also giving the credit to Kraus is like if we go about the last opponent of Onama, it was Garrett Armfield, and actually that was his last amateur fight He did. So it was a rematch actually,
Mhm.
and he won by decision and in an amateur. And now he finished him like in the first or second round. I think second. He finished him in the second round. That's saying about the progression that
Right.
guys making from fight to fight. And also like coming back to his loss again, Mason Jones, like he really had amazing performance. Like he put Mason, like who is like I mean how top prospect, like even against the Klein he was like a favorite. Like you remember that I was telling you about that fight that I saw something and put the money on Klein and was like big underdog.
Yeah.
Mason was like pretty big favorite there, and like Onama really brought the fight to him. And I think only that what saved Mason in that fight was like his wrestling. He managed to put him to the ground, and because of the size, it's easier to take smaller person down than when you're same weight. So
But at this weight class at 45, I think like Onama has a perfect frame, right? He's tall for the
yeah,
division, he's long for the division, and I think, he knows how to use it. I mean, it shows it in that he's able to finish most of these guys. So, yeah, I'm going with Onama in this one.
yeah, I agree. I agree. That's like rational. How to say rational pick, But again, minus 250, you know
Nice.
where I'm gonna go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that I really think about it, and I think in that crazy exchanges that's gonna happen most likely. I don't see like that they're gonna have a technical fight. I think it's gonna be a crazy brawl. At least Nate will try to push that and
Hmm.
maybe try to push him to the ground and look his opportunity there. And he's plus 210. So I would maybe go like with the fight not going to the decision, or maybe like even in some crazy parlay, I would a little bit play around and maybe pick Nate. Maybe like he will clip him and put him to the ground. But like if we're talking rationally, I think David Onama, it's right pretty easily. He wins that fight in 9 of 10.
I think so, and it's something at 145. Probably the division in the UFC at least needs this right now. Like, if you look at just the top of the division, we got Volkanovski and Max Holloway who have fought what 3 times already. They need some new blood, and like to get a guy with 100% finish rate, like that would be. This is why they're in the co-main event. I think.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think they're pick like, and they're hoping like they need a new star. And I think David, if they win this fight and maybe next one, he can get pretty fast. Like basically, if he finish Nate and finish one more, I think he can pretty much get maybe even chance for a title.
Yeah, he's not far.
Okay, and are we on main event?
Yes, we are. We're at the main event, and this is probably the hardest one for me to pick. Man, this is interesting because Dominic Cruz, he's a veteran. We all know him from like UFC, but also WC. He's been a reigning champ for a long time. Um, but even though he's been, he's a veteran, he's had so many fights, he's been in the game for a long time. It's always been that the injuries that keep him out of the game. So much so that like actually Cheeto Vera, Marlon Vera, he actually has more fights in the UFC than Dominic Cruz, even if you combine WEC and UFC. So that says a little bit something about like Cheeto Vera. He's been working his way up. He's been putting in the work. Um, but I don't know if it's me getting uh like letting my emotions instead of my brain work, but I'm going with Cruz on this one. I think he's like still the reigning champ in my brain in a way.
I'm not surprised. I think even like when you were like mimicking his style, that movement, I think you fall in love like in
Dude,
Dominic.
he revolutionized like the sport, especially for the smaller guys, which like I'm huge. I'm jacked, but still, I look at Dominic Cruz and I kind of try to emulate him a little bit. But yeah, and like that's the thing is like he is so much movement based. Like you look at ask any top fighter in the UFC right now, all of their interviews they always say like Dominic Cruz, this is my inspiration. Dominic Cruz, this is the style I try to emulate. He's changed the game with his movement, and Marlon Vera is actually one guy in this division that didn't really emulate him. If you ask Marlon Vera, he's Dominic Cruz probably isn't his hero. And interestingly enough, like Cheeto Vera, he's really good with the leg kicks. He's really good with kicks in general, but especially leg kicks. And I think if he's gonna win, like which I don't want to see, if he's gonna win, it's gonna be because he takes Cruz's legs out, which Cruz has already fucked up both knees, both feet. He's been out for so many years because of that. So I'm pulling for Cruz in this, but like there is a path to victory for Cheeto Vera, and it just happens to be his strength is the leg kicks. But I'm still going with Cruz anyway. I think he's gonna pull it off. How about you?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I think it's really rational, like decision. And if you go back to the, like, how to say, creating that hype, what people do. Like if you go like, let's say now, if you go back to Frankie Edgar fight in Chito Vera, tell me what you remember of that fight.
Well, actually, I remember Frankie was winning most of that fight. I thought, he was winning it with the grappling. He was winning it with like the wrestling, the in and out, the movement. And it just so happened Cheeto Vera is a tough motherfucker, and he was able to find that kick. And I think in a lot of his fights, he's kind of a slow starter. He'll take a little bit of a beating, but if the fight goes long enough, he can find that kill shot. And this is a 5 round fight. Um, I would tend to lean towards the champion and Dominic Cruz to win in a 5 round fight, but like we're talking about Cheeto Vera, and he is tough. I think he does a little bit better after eating a few punches. And shit, man, like I think he could. If he wins, it's gonna be from a finish because I think Cruz is too smart with his movement and his control. He's gonna win most of the rounds. And if Vera wins, it's going to be because he catches Cruz, who has been knocked down recently against Pedro Munoz. He was TKO'd by Henry Cejudo. So I'm going with Cruz, but if Vera wins, it's going to be a finish. It's going to be a finish. What do you think?
It's so funny to look how you're like your
Dude,
brain like
I'm getting emotional, bro.
there. No, I knew it. That's why like I was waiting for this one. Like and that's why it's so interesting and funny to look at you like. But no, that's why I ask you. Like you did like a perfect like the similar what I thought. Like people just remember like oh he came like he KO'd like on impressive fashion.
Yeah,
Um, but he was losing that fight. Like,
yeah,
what if that like that kick didn't happen? Like he was
right.
losing most of that fight against also against Rob Font. He was losing most of the first and the second
Yeah,
round, and then the
yep,
most like the punches, and he almost finished like it came end of the rounds, and like
yeah,
against the Cruz, I think Cruz is so smart. Like again, we said his movement, and now I'm gonna break down like also like, but like the deal is like Cejudo, I think found the 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 remedy for the Cruz, and that's something that Chito can use. Like again, you said chopping those legs, especially he had a problem with the legs.
yeah,
Also, like Chito is really good in using that like. Push kick or straight
yep,
kick. Like that. That's the one that he put Frankie Edgar out, and he's really using that a lot. And if you notice, like like also why Dominic Cruz is changing the angles and the sides from left to the right. He's staying too square, and so
Mhm.
basically it was the one of the most how to say best weapon of Chito Vera. He's not staying sideways where like you have less. He's saying like this, where Chito
Mhm.
Vera have like whole his body like to aim for,
Yeah.
and that's something that's like we have to think about it. So I think it's really bad matchup for Dominic Cruz. Do I believe he can win? He can win, but like
Yeah.
that's the deal. Like if we go back, and it's really interesting fact, like when the Dominic Cruz last time finish something, like I admire the guy. Like I think
Yeah.
he's one of the best brains, his style and everything. But let's go and when he last time.
Yeah.
I don't have it in my head. I have to go over here.
It was Takeo Mizugaki.
Mizugaki, okay. And
Yeah.
before that was 2000. Even that was 2014. That
Yeah.
was like September 27, 2014. 8 years ago. Be,
I was hoping you wouldn't bring this up, but I do believe he has the lowest finish rate in the UFC.
okay, so he's
But
like
yeah,
he is that one.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
If
No,
he beats this guy, if he beats Cheeto, it's gonna be outworking him and outmoving him, picking his shots wisely, and then like getting the takedown when he can.
yeah, I agree with you, but like again, I think Cheeto, like you said, even though I agree, but like, can he keep that pace 5 rounds? If you
Hmm.
go back to the Pedro Muniz, he got him clipped in the first round, you
Yep.
know, and especially when you combine the styles, you know, and like I said, Dominic staying square, going left and right, you know, too big target for those straight leg push
Hmm.
kicks. How call them however you want. So that's one worry. Leg kicks, other concern, and also Dominic when he's going and looping, like he's moving his head and he's going for a takedowns. Like that's something that he's doing perfectly. But
Yeah.
like the time in Cheeto's corner, I would be like, okay, just go for that middle. That's not even like
Yeah.
a high kick; it's like a middle kick. Like
And that's what fucked him up against Cejudo. It wasn't a high kick, but because, like you said, Dominic Cruz, he will put his head off the center line so much that you don't even have to throw a high kick. It's just a middle kick, boom, and it caught him. And if Cheeto's smart, if his camp is smart, which I think they are, Perillo, he's a phenomenal
yeah,
coach. Like, yeah, they might catch a kick, and I think if Cruz loses, it'll be probably a head kick that starts it off, and then maybe a TKO. But I don't know. I'm still rooting for Cruz. Let's see.
no, I agree. Me too.
Yeah.
Like even though um like I said, like lately Cheeto, it's like I mean he's in the winning. Like I gotta say, but like if we go like his last two fights, okay, let's say against when he finished Frankie in the third round, I think it was. Sorry, yeah, almost like 350 in the third round.
Mhm.
So he was losing,
Yeah.
let's say, 12 minutes against Rob Font. Let's say he was losing the first 2 rounds, almost like a 3.5. So he was losing from 80% of his last two fights. Let's not forget
Mhm.
that. So that's something that Cruz, but like the deal is like he has no place for mistakes. And
Right.
especially now after Cejudo fight, people know what to do. So it's even like harder for Cruz. And like I said previously, like I think his good things, what he's doing, are giving like opening for the Cheetos best weapons. So it's gonna be hard for him, but I see possibly that he can win it. You know,
Mhm.
and I think that's 3 rounds. It will be even bigger chance for Cruz to win it. Like
Right.
5 rounds, I give it to Cheeto. Especially like he's not like he's doing like low category. He's like basically fighting as a heavyweight. He's stationary, and
Yep.
he's just like chopping with those kicks. And then when he see opening, he goes for a kill. Very interesting style for the lighter guy.
Like I wonder if one day we'll see because they always measure the wingspan, the reach of the arms, but I would be interested to see the reach for the legs because as much as like Cheeto likes to kick, I think he has pretty fucking long legs. He could find that head like from pretty far range. So it'll be interesting to see how much the kicks play a factor. But Cruz is smart and he knows like with his movement and his injuries, people are always going to be aiming for the legs. So I wonder if he pulls something out, a strategy to get away from that.
No, if somebody can make the strategy for any situation, that like that's Dominic Cruz. Like I think
Yeah,
his brain, and especially like doing the commentary job and everything, like I can see like uh, my brain switching like now in like couple weeks as we shooting. Like you, then you start like analyzing things, going through, watching. Like it just like expands your brain, and especially someone who is like a veteran. And I think like he's one of the best brains. Like
absolutely.
you said, even before he was commentary, his style, what he invented by himself, like how even the fighters praise it, and like how he changed the sport. Like in that sense.
And speaking of like the mind for MMA and commentating and analysis, Chito Vera is actually he's a commentator
Yeah, for the
for the
Spanish,
Spanish broadcast too. So I think this is the first fight that I know of where two commentators are fighting each other.
that's the interesting fact.
So we talk so much about Cruz and how intelligent he is, and he is. I'm sure Vera sees some of that. Like, have you heard any of the interviews? Like Cruz is talking about a little bit how like Vera kind of like jabs at him, like verbally, like kind of pokes at him.
Mhm.
And I think I wonder if Vera is listening to what Cruz says because Cruz has commentated some of Vera's fights, and I wonder if Vera kind of takes that personally a little bit. They also have the same job outside of fighting as commentating, so there is some kind of competition going on even outside of the fighting. I think going on with Vera and Cruz.
No, for sure. When I learn Spanish, I'm gonna listen how is his commentary. So I'm gonna also like see who's better at that. But like,
Bro, when we're watching these fights, like for like studying and shit, like a lot of times I'll pick the Spanish broadcast because I can't speak, I don't know Spanish that well. So like sometimes I do that just so I don't get influenced by the commentators and what they say.
that's the interesting. So
Yeah.
I
But
can
you
do
actually know some Spanish, so maybe I don't know, just put it on mute or something. I don't know.
no, maybe I can do two useful things. Like I can watch the fights to prepare, and I can learn some Spanish to pick up even more next time when I go over there, so I can be even better.
Yeah. That's true. Like maybe for this weekend you won't even watch the English broadcast, you'll just watch the Spanish. And your wife can enjoy that too.
That's interesting. That's
Uh,
interesting. Maybe I'm gonna try, and then I can get some Mexican beer and feel like I'm almost over there at the beach.
all right. Not me. I'm sticking with my hard kombucha right here.
I don't know. You have to change. Like from the next podcast, like I want you to start making your own beer collections.
Bro, last time we went to the beach and we had a picnic and I brought some hard kombuchas and I'm a generous person. I want to share with everybody. Let me just say I brought a lot of hard kombuchas back home. I think I'm the only one that likes them. But
No, I like them. I just like beer more.
I feel you.
Uh,
I'll drink some next time. Next time.
No, let's go for the big one. You know, when is the
Oh,
big
speaking of
one?
which, all right, for anyone staying tuned, we got a few requests for smoking some heifer, some grass. So I think what do you think, Alex? Should we do that one of these times?
Shit. We said maybe like for the Diaz fight,
That's
or
right.
yeah, but I'm gonna stay on CBD. I'm gonna be like,
No, you gotta do the real shit. You gotta do the strong shit.
this is real shit for me. I'm lightweight. So I'm
All
gonna
right, at
say,
least CBD full spectrum because we need somebody. Okay, yeah, we need somebody to handle the show and like cover it. So,
yeah,
just a disclaimer: when I smoke my joints when we're doing this shit, I'm gonna be completely retarded for that one. So,
never mind.
I'll let I'll let you handle
Esmeralda,
it.
Esmeralda will cover.
She'll be our shaman.
Yeah, maybe like maybe you will take her spot. You're gonna be just like,
No, that's accurate. Yeah. So
okay,
hopefully she starts talking because I might not.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't know when it's scheduled, but Diaz versus Kamzat or whatever Sean O'Malley fight, whichever happens first, we're doing that. So
yeah, okay. So I think next weekend is the big one, Usman against Edwards, and we said that was supposed to be officially our like first day to start, but we started a little bit earlier to get some following. So
yeah,
even though I don't like to do this and I hate when people do it on YouTube, but guys, please like, follow, share, tell your friends. Like I was joking yesterday when I was teaching, like, and somebody, one of the students asked me something, and I was like, when we start being good, like I'm gonna say, tell your friends, like. But already now, I think we are pretty good, like covering the stats, picking the fights. Like I think we have something interesting, like what most other people that I was looking at doing similar on the YouTube don't have. So that's why I think I feel comfortable enough to say
Alex, there's no duo like us.
that's true.
There's no duos like us.
We are not still
Actually, we're a trio with Esmeralda.
trio. Esmeralda is in the house.
That's right.
She she just like bumped in the show and she's there and she don't move anywhere. So okay, brother, let's wrap it up. You said it's gonna be a short one at the end. Like we made maybe the longest one so
I
far, huh?
This is the longest one.
Yeah, I told you like it's a good fight. Like when you check the card, you don't think it's a good. Like that's why, guys, we are doing number one. Like if you want to take some picks and listen, like our thought, and also like it got more excited. Like when you have more information about the fights, you hear like the matchup and this, it becomes much more interesting to tune in and watch the fights. At least for me, every time when I do the research, I'm much more excited for the weekend. Especially like after the show with you, I got even hyped up more to watch the fights.
Yeah. I think we're both like hardcore MMA fans, and this doing this and having to really like sift through like their records and their fights and watching footage. Like I like it even more. Fuck. So stay tuned because I think in the future we're gonna have like more analysis and shit and more breakdowns.
We are on number three for so far.
That's right. We got more to go. All right. Adios. Peace. I don't know how to say peace in Spanish, but I'll learn it. All
I
right.
don't know. We'll figure it out till next time.
All right. Be good, brother. See you next time.
Be good. See you next time.